democratic groups are the Vietnamese Americans, Korean Americans, Cambodian Americans, and Filipino.
Filipino! Yes, and that is 100%. It just kills me. Like, again, it kills me when I see my fellow Filipinos not voting Republican. I get it. It's not perfect. But especially for like the Christian Filipinos, the Catholic Filipinos, like you cannot say that the left is not becoming more anti-Christian, more anti-God, right? And so like we're like anti-family. They want to get rid, like they don't want school choice. They want these parents, they want these teachers to get indoctrinate your children, right? They don't want the parents involved. Right? Like they want to disrupt the nuclear family when it comes to, like, I will say it, like all the transgender stuff. Like they're attacking masculinity, they're attacking manhood, right? And they're attacking women to be like more 304s, you know, instead of embracing traditional manhood, traditional womanhood, right? They are tackling the nuclear family, right? And so, continue. Guys, so I'm coming to you another video. We're doing a reaction video to the Fung brothers as they're talking about politics, doing another video kind of like on the red pill journey. This is part 2 pretty much. You know, they are very much open to the idea of voting red, right? They're not there yet, but you know, as your red pill tour guide, I'm gonna be with y'all and see what y'all need to do next. So we're gonna see what they gotta say, look in the comments, and of course give my tips on what they gotta do next, okay? The ultimate win obviously is them voting conservative, voting them Republican, but if anything, again, if that scares y'all right at this moment listening to this, at the very next best, the break even is y'all becoming independent, becoming critical thinkers, and discerning what is going on in this political, cultural landscape. So, with that said, if you're new to this channel, what is up? My name is Mitch, Maverick Mitch. Hey Mitch, all the Mitches, the call sign Don, and pretty much I like talking about what I talk about. So, current events, reviews, pop culture, social political commentary, be sure to check out all those videos as you're finishing this video. And of course, please like, share, and subscribe as it feeds the algorithm. So with that said, let's take a look what they gotta say.
The New York Times has just said that a lot of Asian voters are now shifting right. However, there's a segment of Asian voters that are shifting right faster than the rest.
Oh man, you know the New York Times, Andrew, anytime they drop something, it gets the people going. Long story short, man, they got new evidence and they've got a new breakdown, Andrew, of what type of Asians are shifting to the right. Because they've obviously said this before in a very general sense, Andrew, but they've got the details now.
All right, we're going to get into...
Let's go! Right, I just want to pause it right there. Let's go! Let's go! You know, again, they have done other videos on this, right? And again, I'm here with them on this red pill journey, right? For them, it took a while because y'all, like, hey, I get it. I get it that you don't want to necessarily be with Republicans, or like maybe you're still very much in the middle, but they're going to talk about this. I saw a little bit about this. They talk about the Overton window shifting. So yes, being a moderate Democrat does not exist. Especially you yourself can be moderate, but the party itself has become progressive policies in which being a moderate in this day and age is aka becoming conservative. It's just how it is.
To a lot of graphics and statistics and reasons why that is, so please hit that like button right now. Check out other episodes of the Hot Pot Boys. We're just trying to be intellectually honest here. Let's
Silly to serious, guys. We'll break it down. Andrew, take a look at this voting map.
Wow.
Of working class enclave Sunset Park, Brooklyn, 2018, deep blue. 2022, Andrew, light red.
Wow, that's a big shift. Now, just because that this district is red doesn't mean that the Republican won the entire thing, but they won in this district.
Yeah, they voted for a Republican governor, Andrew, and it was primarily due to crime concerns.
Wow, God, dope. Sunset Park has some great cheap food too.
Yeah. Look at...
Okay, so going from the other video, when they first did this, actually a year ago from this same time period, they're mentioning the same things about like affirmative action, and they're talking about crime, and even David was saying like, hey, I don't like how the Democrats are handling things. They're releasing criminals into the street, and like the DAs that are not prosecuting these criminals.
However, in my opinion, you know what has changed?
the situation. The situation on the ground. I live in a lot of big cities, LA, New York, Seattle. Let me tell you this. I myself am not very happy with the way the leadership in these cities, and it has been Democratic, is running these systems.
100%! 100%. And so again, we're in that same situation where what you gotta lose with the people on the right. And I'm gonna say like I'm gonna go into it further, but stop looking at the mainstream narrative as far as what Republicans are thinking. Discern for yourself. Talk to Republicans. Talk to me, yo. Like, what all the information, all the misconceptions you're getting from Republicans is coming from like the things that you guys watch. BuzzFeed, Yahoo News, all of these things are on the left, right? Huffington Post, AJ Plus, Now This Politics, all of that is on the left. So you're only getting a view of Republicans from left-wing sources. So, continue.
Asian American votes in national elections, Andrew, there was a trend, obviously, for 4 years. The blue bar is getting bigger. As you see more and more, Andrew, the red bar is getting bigger. I'm sure that is probably, very concerning to Democrats.
Yeah, I mean, based off all the articles that we've covered, obviously we do know that Asians are shifting a little bit right. It does not mean that they're mostly right. Most Asians are still voting Democrat right now. However, there's a trend, and I think a lot of Democrats are concerned. Now, one thing that was surprising to me was this fact that the most heavily Democratic groups include Indian, Pakistani, Bangladeshi, and Arab descent. The least Democratic groups are the Vietnamese Americans, Korean Americans, Cambodian Americans, and Filipino.
Filipino! Yes, and that is 100%. I can see some of the with the Indians, the Asian Indian South Asians. I don't necessarily think. Well, I guess with this thing that's true, but I see them more on the Republican side, the conservative side. With Koreans, Korean conservatives, Christians, right? Same thing with Filipinos, and then Vietnamese, Cambodians. Come on, with everything that happened in Vietnam and Cambodia with the Khmer Rouge, like, and obviously with the northern Vietnamese communists, yes, 100% they're gonna be Republican, you know? And so it just kills me. Like, again, it kills me when I see my fellow Filipinos not voting Republican. I get it, it's not perfect, but we're, especially for like the Christian Filipinos, the Catholic Filipinos, like you cannot say that the left is not becoming more anti-Christian, more anti-God, right? And so like we're like anti-family. They want to get rid, like they don't want school choice. They want these parents, they want these teachers to get indoctrinate your children, right? They don't want the parents involved. Right? Like they want to disrupt the nuclear family when it comes to, like, I will say it, like all the transgender stuff. Like, you can't be becoming effeminate. They are attacking masculinity, they're attacking manhood, right? And they're attacking women to be like more 304s, you know, instead of embracing traditional manhood, traditional womanhood, right? They are tackling the nuclear family, right? And so, continue.
Americans.
6 origin groups make up 85% of all Asian Americans. Andrew, look at this chart. This was just an interesting fact, Andrew. Between Chinese and Indians, that's like literally half the Asian Americans in America.
There's a lot of them, man. They come from huge countries.
Those are big countries.
They have unlimited people.
And obviously it shows on this chart that most Asians live in the West Coast, then the South, which is interesting, then the Northeast, then the Midwest, dead last. And it also shows that we have the highest income disparity out of all groups actually in America.
Which brings us to our main point, guys. Which group of Asians is shifting to the right faster?
Andrew, it is actually the blue collar and uneducated or less educated Asian Americans. Yeah, that group. So long story short, the New York Times article.
So I'll pause it there, because they're just kind of echoing everything that I already know, right? As far as blue collar and stuff like that, and I will say some of the education portion. Okay, so let's go with the blue collar. Obviously, a lot of not just Filipinos, but Asians that are in a lot of entrepreneur stuff, right? A lot of Asians who are in trade. A lot of Asians, and again, touching on the Filipinos who are military, right? A lot of blue collar people, like, I get it, like, You like, especially if you had a business, like how many of these things, the left-wing policies and mayors, dictators, and governors shut down your businesses during the pandemic, right? And so it makes sense, right, that you are seeing a lot of this shift faster from people who are from blue collar lifestyles, occupations, all good stuff, right? Now they're saying like education, right? And I can kind of say that, and this is where like the nuance is, right? Because before 2018, for the most part, I would have said when I went to college, when I went to CSUN, I would probably have been more moderate, but still holding on to my conservative values. But I'm a product of Asian American studies, right? I got a degree in it and all that stuff. And not to say that the left, the Democrats, they're the ones, and this is what I actually defend. Like, they're the ones who push on Asian American studies and ethnic studies and all of these things that I do think is a positive when we're talking and learning about our Asian heritage and Asian cultures and Asian global history and all that stuff, right? Those are good things, but I think it has shifted, especially after I graduated college many decades ago now. That it has become too progressive, right? When we're talking about, again, accepting things like Filipinx, right? And so on more anecdotal stuff with the Filipinos and esoteric. But again, I being educated, quote unquote, having a degree doesn't necessarily indicate your intelligence, especially when you are discerning facts, especially when you are in fear. Like I said, you can't define what a woman is, and that is on the left, right? Instead of saying an adult human female, right, you got to say, well, a woman is defined as anyone who defines as a woman. That's not a definition. Well, it is a definition, but it is a circular definition. So I will fast forward to a portion which here's where they're still hung up on, right? So here they're going to break down what they see as Republicans.
The Republicans have always had this dynamic on their side. They have the country club Republicans and more of like, I don't want to say hillbilly, but like
hick, or I guess, the
Bible Belt.
Well, these Democrats.
Yeah.
So
these Republicans.
Yeah.
So here they are having a caricature of Republicans, right? Not understand, like, and this is very much of the common trope of the people that is still on the left-leaning and all that stuff, that they just see Republicans as like how they were saying, like, you got the rich Republicans and you got your hillbilly Republicans. What they think is hillbilly Republicans, the Bible Belt Republicans. But not understanding, like, you got like people who are MAGA. Like, I live in Las Vegas, and like the MAGA here is they are not the hillbillies. Like, yes, a lot of us are still very much God-fearing. Sure, that's a portion of it, but like a lot of us, again, are educated in business, entrepreneurs, smart, like in media, and we're doing our thing. And it like having this notion that like a MAGA Republican is just white, Bible, all this stuff, living in the South, in the southern states or whatever. You're so out of touch as far as what's going on. Okay, so next what I want to do, if Fung brothers, if you're watching this, I know there was a lot going on here, right? But here is some 3 things that I'm gonna say that you guys gotta do next, and then next thing I'll do is also look into the comments and see what people gotta say, because I was looking already, and there's still a lot of people who are Democrats in the comments, right? But okay, for number 1. News. Where are you getting your news? Like I said in the beginning, like, you're probably getting your news from BuzzFeed. You're probably getting your news from Now This Politics, AJ Plus, the Huffington Post, all of this stuff. I will suggest that you need to, if you're not going to look at Fox News, that's fine. Well, one, if you're going to look at things on the right, like at CNN, MSNBC, look at things on the right? Balance it out. Figure out where the common truth is, right? But if you don't want to watch Fox News, if you don't want to watch OAN, fair enough. What I'm going to suggest is watching Tim Pool. What I'm going to suggest is watching Breaking Points with Sager and Crystal Ball. I'm gonna suggest watching Decoy Voice. But for the most part, Tim Pool does a very excellent job as far as Timcast IRL and looking at this. He does a very good job as far as getting a lot of information. And
let me play this clip for you so you can hear it right from Joe's mouth himself.
The culture shift between right and left authoritarianism, and now people don't recognize that if you just stopped looking at it in terms of red and blue, look at the actions whether it's war, suppression of free speech, pharmacological interventions that are mandatory, whatever the fuck it is, that used to all be associated with the authoritative right, the authoritarian right. And now those things are being embraced by the left. And I just think it's just an ideology thing. And I think we get confused and we think we're on the right side. We're on the right side. And if it's our side that's saying this, for sure that's the right thing to do. And no one's critically thinking about this.
He is completely correct. This is the funny thing. How is it that you can have people simultaneously claim to oppose the military-industrial complex, but then also be like, woo, war in Ukraine, send another $100 billion? Where do you think that money goes?
Decoy Voice does a good job doing a more condensed version of what Tim Pool does. And so look at information, because here's the thing. This is the part 2. So part 1, getting a variety of news coverage where you're getting your news. Number 2, discern. Well, 1, discern with God. But if that's not your thing, right, discern with your own logical capabilities, right? Because you can. If the left is talking about apples, if the right is talking about oranges, at least they're talking about fruit. You can discern and the logic and figure out where things are going, and discern how much the media is super biased, right? When it comes to covering Rittenhouse, when it comes to covering like the Jussie Smollett stuff, how they cover Trump, you know, how they cover things in Twitter, right? The latest thing is if you watch the Young Turks, I'm sure that you're familiar with the Young Turks coming from California, right? You have Anna Kasparian becoming labeled the Young Turks, the Young Turfs, right? All Anna did, and she's on the left, right? All she did is, we can support trans people, but please don't call me a menstruator, birthing person, all that stuff, right? And so she's not conservative, right? But she's wanting to delineate. Do not call me like these slurs, essentially, right? And now she's being attacked, right? She's being attacked by the left side. Someone who is on the left now being attacked on the left. So you guys mentioned in this video about the Overton window shifting, and this is where it is. Which side of the aisle of the does logic pertain to? Like, you want to make fun of Christians, you want to make fun of these MAGA Republicans of being Bible Belt, but we're having more truth talking. We're having more truth talking about what is a woman than the left is, right? And like, I get that maybe you guys are not super Christian or whatever, but understand that there is still moral truth, right? When we're saying like, hey, when the right is saying protect the kids, and the left is saying, well, we gotta puberty blockers for these trans kids. Like, you guys gotta agree. Like, you can be whatever you want to be as an adult, but like, understand puberty blockers is not a pause. It is a halt. It is castrating the growth and development of minors, is right? And so that's a no-go. Like, you have Blair White. Look at Blair White, who is a trans woman, right? Look at her. Look her up. And she actively talks about not giving puberty blockers, not letting minors transition, even though she's a trans woman herself, right? She understands, let these kids figure it out, and then once they're adult, make an adult decision. I guess you guys, come on, you can agree to that. And number 3, culture. Pop culture is politics, right? Look how much the woke stuff has been infiltrating everything, right? You gotta see the difference between the House of Dragon and Rings of Power. Maybe you don't watch those shows, but you can see where everything is all about diversity and women power and nothing about the story. But when you have something like House of Dragon where it focuses on story versus all of this woke stuff, you have to understand what's going on. Why, like right now, Disney Star Wars is kicking out a lot of people, like Marvel, and it's kicking out a lot of people. Disney Star Wars is kicking out a lot of people. Why is a lot of these movies not working? Look at Nerdrotic, okay? One thing that, so when it comes to a lot of these pop culture stuff, look at Nerdrotic. Gary does a great job analyzing and looking into mixing with the politics and pop culture, more on the pop culture side, right? When it comes to a lot of, like I'm saying, like Marvel, TV, Velma, all this stuff, right? Star Wars, Star Trek, all of this stuff. And so look into where is this narrative going, and why is it successful, why is it not? I think that's also a good flavor to understand what is happening in the political landscape, because if you haven't heard of this idiom, but yet it rings true, like Politics is downstream from culture, which is downstream from religion. So it all interconnects. So you gotta understand, yeah, a lot of it interconnects with each other, talking about politics and pop culture. So,
but there was always another side, at least for a long time, but that other side was eroding over years. But what really kicked it in was 2016. That's right when Ghostbusters came out, and the fan baiting marketing really revved up, and Disney has perfected it to this point. And what they found, and like, I wish I had enough time to explain all this, but it's a lot of things happening at once. It was Me Too times up, Trump, the introduction of ESG, like all of this has led and then the silencing of opposing opinions, making people afraid to say anything in Hollywood, or you would be fired, you would be ostracized, you would be canceled. Cancel culture has led us to this. Some of us have been warning people for years that this was happening. And, I wish my dad was around to see this. He thought all this obsession over comic books and movies would lead to absolutely nothing. And he was mostly right. But it led to this. It led to me figuring out that the thing I used to love, Hollywood, storytelling, it's something ingrained, not just in our pop culture is American culture, but it goes back to the, when we were painting on the walls of caves, like stories are important to us. And that's how you get to young people. It's through culture. Politics is downstream from culture. And a lot of people abandon it. And now we have just one side of the story all the time.
So summing that up real quick before we go into the comments, if you're still with me, all right. So one, look at your news. Check out Tim Pool, Breaking Points, Decoy Voice. Learn to delineate and discern what the information you're getting, and then look at the pop culture. Look at the landscape of things. Look at where pop culture is going, because I'm with you. It was the Christian conservatives in the 90s who was the authoritative, like saying you can't watch South Park, you can't listen to hip hop, you can't listen to rap. It was the Christian conservatives on the right that was doing it, right? Now it's the left that's saying, like, you gotta do this. You gotta be woke. You gotta have a gay character. You gotta change a woman character. You gotta have a black character. You gotta race swap someone. They're the ones who's becoming authoritative, right? And that's where it becomes, again, I get it. I get that you're not right there yet, that you want to, you're not on the Trump train. That's too much for you right now. But you gotta understand where the culture and climate of everything is at this moment, right? You have to see what's going on, right? And so I'll just leave it there. I talked a whole lot. This was really great. And again, I'm looking forward to seeing where the Fung brothers are going. And I am seeing them in a red pill journey. And I hope, I don't know if they're gonna watch this video, but again, if you can't come up to this part of the video already, hopefully they saw what I said. They don't have to give me a shout or anything, but hopefully they see what I gotta say and follow with that. At least look at Tim Pool, right? At least look at Nerdrotic. At least look and discern what's going on in the cultural war and the cultural landscape and the political landscape. So I'll leave it there. Thank you for watching. This was fun just to rant and talk about the Fung brothers and talk about red pill journeys, because a lot of us have been through it. So if you're new to this channel, what is up? My name is Mitch, and thank you. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can follow me on my Instagram at HeyMitch. I'm also on Twitter, Maverick Mitch. I'm also on Rumble, Mitch Lozada. Follow me there, and see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Peace, peace, peace. Be with you. E come spero con duo.
I was broke, now I'm rich, these niggas salty. All this is on my body.